Thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to this morning and kicking things off for everyone. Thank you very much, Oprah, was it? And Steve Jobs there, loving the look, Polisa. And thank you so much for that introduction. So branding starts at home. How relevant is your personal brand? I mean, this is something that we can go into for hours and hours, but I'm going to try and compress it in a way that is really simple and easy to understand for everyone that's watching this. Whether you like it or not, albeit to a certain extent, each and every one of us is in somewhat of a way is a celebrity. And that's simply because we all have a digital footprint. We have social media accounts that contain our images, thoughts, and can potentially be shared to and consumed by masses of people in a reasonably short amount of time, and in most cases, real time. The point is that it's all out there for more eyes to see than ever before. Think about it. More people will meet virtual you than real life you. And that's why your personal brand is important and why it is relevant. Personal branding is a far more accessible thing to achieve than ever before, thanks to social media. And as we all know, personal branding matters because it is the representation of your reputation. It's a result of what people and everyone thinks, feels, does, and says about you when you're not in the room. It speaks on your behalf. And in today's job market, it is more important than ever to have a strong and positive one. Reputation management expert and author Andrew Griffin says, reputation is an outcome, but it is also a valuable strategic asset. The term branding used to have negative connotations and was only reserved for businesses, but with the advent of social media sites and the gig economy, personal branding has become fundamental. In a world where everyone has a degree, employers are looking for candidates with something extra special that makes them unique and that makes them stand out. And in a world where everyone has a website and an online presence, personal branding can help make yours stand out from the rest. I'm an introvert, believe it or not, and I'm telling you all about the importance of personal branding. A bit counterintuitive for something that one would think would be reserved for the more extroverted people out there, but I have a theory. Introverts are avid listeners and observers, therefore possibly a bit more effective in that regard by taking a bit more care and consideration in the creation of a personal brand. So it really is for everyone, no matter your personality. Personal branding can help you control the narrative about yourself and introduce yourself in the best light possible. I think one of the best ways to always speak about this, and I recently did a couple talks with Emma Sadler, and we spoke about the Billboard test. And you need to imagine that you had this massive billboard on the highway. Think of this big billboard in the middle of the highway, and it is peak traffic. Now, imagine all the things you put out there on social media, all the things that you talk about on social media, and have your face largely put right next to it. And then the company that you work for, their logo, and every other company, your clients, all of their logos attached to it. And you allowed all these people to see this billboard. How would that make you feel? Is that something that you'd be proud of? If yes, then you're definitely on the right track. If you're not so sure, or if not, then you probably need to reassess. When you have a job interview, or maybe even a date, who knows? Chances are someone is going to Google you to learn more about who you are. The question is, what will they find, and do you want to allow your reputation to take a life of its own or control the narrative? Although sometimes you can't fully control the narrative, because after taking a glance at my Google results, after Googling my name for this conversation, I can conclude that I have absolutely no idea who this first man on the far left is, because that is not me. So some things aren't in your control. The point is that the background checks that people do on you are easier than ever. It's all on the internet and all on social media. The way we hire has changed, something that always reminds me of this Dilbert comic. I don't need to see your resume. That's the old way of hiring. Now we use data from the internet to see what you've been up to lately. I'll show myself out then. You'd understand if I don't shake your hand. So it's those kind of light conversations that kind of get you a little bit worried about what you might have on your social media. Your personal social media profiles have the potential for serious repercussions in your professional life. In a 2020 survey done by global market research consulting firm, the Harris Poll, 70% of the employers who responded said they believe every company should screen candidates' social media profiles during the hiring process. Moreover, 78% of employers believe that current employees should maintain a work-appropriate social media profile. Because we tend to view our personal social media accounts as being, well, exactly that, personal, there's a good chance that by viewing someone's profile, you'll get a glimpse into their personality beyond their resume. Generally, employers are looking for any red flags. These could include sharing of illegal activities, offensive comments, violent or aggressive behavior, sexually explicit material, or confidential information, something that people fall into the trap of quite often. But if there's any bit of advice I can give you, don't erase your profile if you're worried about these things entirely. While the fear of something embarrassing or negative being discovered might tempt you or some job candidates to completely erase their personal online persona, employers say that strategy can definitely backfire. About 1 in 5 employers in the Harris Poll survey said they won't call a person for an interview if they can't find them online. Something to think about. In addition to seeming like you're trying to hide something, it's not a good idea to delete your profile because it doesn't guarantee the data is completely gone. Instead, it's best practice to keep your social media accounts clean and up to date. Personal branding helps to build the trust of your customers, clients, employers, or audience that might look to engage with you. If people like you, they will listen to you. But if they trust you, they'll do business with you. Zig Ziglar. It allows people to get to know who you are as an individual, how much you bring to the table. Personal branding helps people feel like they know the individual, especially before spending money on his or her business or products. A brand is not simply what you do, it's who you are, and that's what people want to know. We all need to realize that there's no such thing as personal capacity on social media or in the real world anymore. Whatever you put out or is recorded of you or put onto social media becomes essentially public capacity. The days of there's no such thing as bad publicity are also a thing of the past. With social media, there is bad publicity. The reputation of 1,000 years may be undermined by the conduct of 1 hour, a famous Japanese proverb. And Warren Buffett kind of adding more to that, saying, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. I would argue that you can now build a good reputation in maybe a short amount of time, but destroy it in seconds with one simple negligent action. Who could forget Adam Katsavelos' very colorful weather report in Greece that revealed his true colors for a clear dislike of color? Penny Sparrow, the estate agent that was fired and fined 150,000 Rand after her Facebook post denigrated black people by comparing black beachgoers to monkeys. Or Justine Sacco, the American PR director that tweeted as she was boarding a plane, going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white. And had thousands waiting for her arrival at Cape Town International, just to talk. After the hashtag, has Justine landed yet, went viral, to which unbeknownst to her, because she was in the air for about a 20-hour flight, landed to the news of her unemployment and her own ironically desperate need for good PR. You can't straddle between being someone at work and being the complete opposite in your private and digital life. So be authentic and be consistent. Write your own list on how you would describe your own personal brand and how you think people see you and how you make people feel. Then talk to someone close to you that will be brutally honest and unfiltered as to how they feel, as to how they would describe you, and then take that information to build on being better in whichever way that may be and will enhance your own personal brand. Identify the inconsistencies and then identify the consistencies too and address those. Find your strengths, then focus on those and enhance them as much as you possibly can. Personal branding may seem like a buzzword to some, but it's so much more. Your storytelling in everything that you do is what crafts your personal brand and the perception that others have of you, aiding and attracting the kind of attention that you're looking for. Things like being late can start to form part of a personal brand. If it happens too many times and you're always being accommodated, you'll be known as the one that's always late. But is that really the personal brand that you want to uphold or be known for? I know most of you listening to this are African, but African time's not going to cut it when you're trying to build a personal brand based on trust and reliability. If landing big clients is your goal, being an expert is your goal, or growing your following, build a solid brand. When I started out in entertainment, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing and had no real sense of how to act, but I implemented and stuck to 5 simple things that informed in my building of my own personal brand. Very simple. I would always make sure that I was as punctual as I could possibly be, sometimes 15 minutes early or at least on time, but hopefully never late. I'd try to be helpful as often as possible. If anyone needed any kind of assistance on set and whatever it might be, I'd always try and make sure that I lend that helping hand. I was always prepared for whatever it is that was required of me. Making sure that you are prepared goes a long way because people can see that you take what you do seriously. Creating an environment that is enjoyable. Whenever I'd get on any kind of set or working environment with any kind of client or for any job, you create an environment that people really want to walk away with thinking, wow, it was a really nice experience spending time with that person or working with that person. And then probably most importantly for a lot of people is delivering every single time to the best of your ability. And that's what I would always try and do. And that led to a lot of word of mouth. Soon enough, the more and more work I would get was from clients saying they had gotten in touch based on someone's recommendation after having worked with me. And that did wonders. Build trust and people will start evangelizing for you. After all, relationships are a cornerstone of success. When it comes to doing anything around my personal brand, the question is, I want to ask myself, how authentic am I being to myself? Is this consistent with who I am? Do I believe myself? Because the reality is that if I don't believe myself, then I can't really expect anyone else to, can I? But that all starts with truly knowing yourself. When you have a solid personal brand with full clarity of what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what you've put in to make it to that point, and you know the results that you can deliver, then you'll always know your value because you intrinsically know what you bring to the table. Make sure you know what you bring so that you know that you belong there. And so do the people who invite you to that table. Speak confidently with assertion because you know your stuff. So say what you know because people know when you aren't being confident. Also, do so consistently so people know what to expect. They know your standards. Be clear on why your brand matters. You are in control. You're only in control of the messaging you put out. You get to decide how you want to be seen, and you get to decide what represents you best and what messaging is true to you as a person. But you don't always get to decide who you want to be seen by. Furthermore, whatever claims that you make, you need to be able to back that up. Clients want to see that you have the ability to execute. Something that always makes me laugh is the number of DMs I'll get from people that will send me messages saying, would you like to grow your followers by another 10,000 followers? And although you know immediately it's a scam, it's always quite ironic how those people have about 10 or 20, maybe even just 2 followers. It just makes absolutely no sense. You need to be able to walk the talk. Share a lot. Be authentic. Show what you care about and what your passions are. People want to see you humanize yourself as much as possible. But that's also a fine line when it comes to what you share. Maybe it's best to stay away from mudslinging of your employer when you aim to stay employed there. We all have our bad days, but perhaps look to your close family and friends in those moments because I hate to break it to you, but if you're looking for empathy, you more than likely won't find it on social media. Another really important thing is that if you have all these talents, all these skills, when you're building your personal brand, being in the right place is also very, very important. Being in the right location. This is Joshua Bell, American violinist, master, genius, superstar. He's been dubbed all these things. He plays the Gibson Stradivarius $3 million violin and gets paid tens of thousands of dollars per show just to perform. He did a little social experiment where he performed in the Washington, D.C. subway and did a test to see how well he could do there if he had to go and perform for, I would say, bystanders who were unbeknownst to who was performing. Now, this is CCTV footage from the train station, so you're going to have to excuse that quality, but he's kind of set up in the corner there, and he's getting ready to play for everyone and kind of gauging what's happening. And he's gone at what's regarded as the busiest time, and you'll see in a couple seconds, people start streaming through. But no one really seems to pay too much attention. By the end of his performance, around 1,100 people had passed him by. Only 27 gave him any money, and 7 actually stopped to listen to him. I think he made $52.17, and 20 of those dollars was because one person noticed who he was and really appreciated his music. That is a kind of showing of just how important location is. You'll be wasting your skill if you aren't in the right place. Ensure that you aren't misusing your skill set or level of expertise by undervaluing yourself and being in the wrong place when you have all that talent, when you've built this personal brand that you want to work in your favor. In sum, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. There's nothing like a personal brand to give you advancement in your career or business if, of course, that's what you're looking for. The reality is that you can make it whatever you want it to be, but make sure that it's aligned with you and who you are. Personal branding sets an expectation in people's minds. So authenticity and consistency is key in maintaining this. Think of some of your favorite brands. Why do you love that brand? Why do you use that brand? What makes it better than other brands, and how does it make you feel that other brands like it fall short of? Brands help you develop feelings, a sentiment towards them. Brands develop emotions. That's why we gravitate towards them. Maybe it's quality, maybe it's their values and what it stands for and how that resonates with you. Maybe it's just simply the fact that they're reliable. That's why people gravitate towards a brand. That's why people choose a brand over another brand and even stick to one brand. That's how loyalty is formed. And it's the same when it comes to people and our ability to create a good and positive personal brand. Understand the full clarity of who you are as a person and what you want to have represent you. Unless you have the clarity on who you are as a human being, you'll find it challenging to thrive. When you know all these things and you've put in the work and you're crystal clear on yourself and what you represent, then everything else is easy and seems secondary. If you're not clear about yourself, then how can you put yourself out there and build a strong brand? By taking the time to define your brand, you can set yourself up for success in your career and beyond. Find your voice, consistency within that voice, and be true to it. With a strong personal brand, the opportunities are absolutely endless. Personal branding is here to stay and will only become increasingly relevant with time. Consider it and then work on it. Your personal brand is your reputation, and your reputation in perpetuity is the foundation of your career.